We're here with Neil Sullivan. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
No problem.
And yeah, let's just dive right in. So let's start all the way back. So your life story, Neil. Where did it all begin? Where were you born?
So I was actually born in Manhattan, but then not even 2 days later moved to Staten Island. So
Nice.
I'm West Brighton, born and raised. I went to Petrides K through 12,
Nice.
which now I'm working at, which is pretty crazy. Um, I went to college in Rhode Island, Providence College, and I just finished my master's. Just been gigging a ton, so I play in Jazztronauts, Pastel, and now I'm just picking up random session work or someone needs me to play something.
Hell yeah, awesome. So
Yeah.
at what age did your musical journey begin?
I started playing piano at 5, so my grandma was pretty big on getting me lessons and getting serious about it because I didn't care about it at the beginning. Then I started trombone in 5th grade, so 10, and then I started bass at 13. In college, I got more serious about bass, so trombone hasn't been my main instrument for a while now. And then yeah, college, I got serious about bass, and then I came back here around 2015 and just started gigging out. Started Pastel with this lead singer Nick, who we actually went to high school with, and we never worked together until the band. So it was pretty cool.
Oh, nice. That's sick.
Yeah, and I just kind of stumbled upon Jazztronauts. I saw AJ Panaleo, that's the drummer, at Craft House, and he was telling me about what is now Jazztronauts. And he told me, "Oh, I'm starting this community-based thing. I want it to be improv heavy." And I said, "Oh, that sounds cool." And he said, "Do you want in?" And I said, "What?" And he's like, "Oh, well, if I have a gig, like, do you want me to hit you up?" Because I think he was figuring out like who his roster was gonna be.
Hmm.
And I said, "All right, that sounds cool." And that was at Craft House. And now I've just been in the band since pretty much. And I've been on their latest releases on bass. I started on keys in that group. Did one gig on bass and then ended up back on bass after keys.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So your first instrument you started was piano, then trombone, right?
Yes. Piano and trombone, then bass. I sing too. I haven't gotten formal lessons in that though.
No, I got you. Yeah, yeah. I started, yeah, like I played clarinet in like the PS30, fourth and fifth grade band, but like recorder in third grade. Shout out the recorder that we used to have with little music books. That was the first instrument I ever played.
Mm.
But guys, shout out the clarinet. That was the first one I ever played. Even though I got my first guitar like in second grade, I like went years without touching because I was like, oh, I don't want to learn it, man. Like fuck that. I don't want to fucking. That's not cool. I don't want to learn shit unless I could like be a rock star right away. Like, no, I don't want to pick it up because I was like a regular stupid little kid.
Mm.
But yeah, like that was the first instrument I ever played. But for you, so piano, trombone, and bass. What is your favorite out of the three?
Right now it's bass. I think it was piano for a long time, and I think piano. I'll always play it. Like now, if I go to a session, I'll have my keyboard and bass with me. But I don't know. There's something about the bass the last
Yeah.
couple of years. I just, even when I started playing bass, I was listening to a ton of Motown, funk, Red Hot Chili Peppers, and that was all pretty bass heavy.
Yeah.
So it just kind of made sense for me to make the switch to bass.
That's what I wanted to ask next. So yeah, what made you gravitate toward the bass guitar?
Well, high school sing band, so they have sing at the different public school. I don't know if you had at school you went
Yeah,
to.
Wagner. Yeah, they definitely had to have it.
Yeah, so at
Yeah.
Betrayed they had it, and they didn't really have a bass player, so I just kind of was already learning it, started to dive more into it.
Hmm.
And it was really college. My teacher just got me a lot into it because I was in college. I was kind of figuring out what my main instrument would be.
Yeah.
That's kind of the story of my life.
No,
But
that's cool.
now it's
That's
pretty
cool.
much just bass, and I think it's just because more of the music that I listen to, and I like the roll of the bass and super locked in with the drums, things like
Yeah.
that.
No, sick. So in terms of what would you say is your biggest musical influences on bass? Your idols on bass guitar.
That's hard. I'd have to go James Jamerson from the Funk Brothers, Flea, Louis Johnson. There's this Swedish band, Dirty Loops. Henrik Linder, I think, is the bassist. He's insane. Um, I mean, there's so many. It's like, where do you begin,
Dude,
really?
speaking of Chili Peppers, because you said that, did you see their new 2022 announcement? That news broadcast was hilarious.
Oh, I gotta watch it. I do want to see them live too,
That
because
would
I've
be
heard
so
they're great
sick. And that
live.
John Frusciante is back. I probably butcher his last name, but the fact that he's back, that's fucking insane.
He
Like,
always comes back though. He's kind of like the person that you're never gonna hit up again, but
And then,
then
yeah,
you do.
cycle back eventually. Yeah,
Yeah, you're
yeah.
like, "Oh, I'll never hit her up." Oh, wait.
No, yeah, yeah. So, what are your biggest musical influences in general?
Like, in terms of creating or just playing, you think?
First, what are they creatively, and then also as a fan and just as a musical listener?
Um, I mean, as a creator, I love Muse. That's probably that I should have included him in my list of bases because playing rock, I've really haven't found a lot of bassists that I like love their sound and what they do and are like really technically gifted, but I've always really liked the bassist and Muse.
Mhm.
Creatively, I really like Des Rocks. He's blown up and his new album was so good. I remember we were talking about
Dude,
it. It's
yeah, we were, like,
so good.
talking on, like, DMs about hit a
Yeah.
real good person, real bad place. I listened to it when I was going into work today because I wanted to finally just, like, sit down because I had, like, an hour to commute into fucking Bushwick today because of traffic. So it's
Oof.
like, why not? Yeah. And I saw he was playing Firefly. Yeah, like, I first heard of him though, like, because I went to a Glorious Sun show, like, in January 20, and, like, he was opening. I never heard of him
So, dude, I was at that
until
show
then. Well, like, January, like, it was
2020, yeah.
fuck, that
And not
was
only that,
Music Hall of Williamsburg.
so not only that, you're gonna hate me in 5 seconds. So shout out to Jesse Bloom. Jesse Bloom was there, who's an awesome musician. I've been able to play with Jazztronauts. I texted him that I was going to see Des Rocks. And he said, "All right, like I'm driving to the show or I have an extra ticket." Long story short, at the band that he was on at the time that he was in, Mr. Wives, has the same manager as Glorious Sons. So I was
Mhm.
backstage at that show.
Nah, dude, that's fucking awesome.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
was
why not? If
awesome.
you can,
Yeah,
right?
so I got to meet Des Rocks briefly. Really nice guy. He had a bunch of pizzas with him
He's from
because
like, is he from Long Island or the
he's
boroughs?
from Long Island and
Okay.
he's just all about New York City and everything he does, which
No,
is
yeah,
great.
yeah, the filthy animals he calls.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he was awesome live. That was the first time I saw him. I was listening to his music.
yeah, that was
But
the
yeah, he's
first,
great.
because like I went to that show with like a friend from school too, because I was working in like Brooklyn that day, and I just looked up shows that were going on. But I heard of the Glorious Sons because they were on Octane a bunch, like
Mm.
Sawed Off Shotgun. That was the song that
Yeah,
got me into them.
that song's crazy.
Song is great.
And
Yeah.
then I don't know if you remember, there was one moment where the guitarist did Love is a Battlefield by Pat Benatar.
I don't remember honestly, but
It was crazy. I'll send you the video. The
yeah, yeah,
guitarist
hook me up.
sings
Yeah.
like the Pat Benatar song,
Oh, for
like
real?
in the same key and everything. It's great.
No, that's insane.
Yeah, that was a good show. I can't believe that was right before shutdown
Dude,
almost.
that was like right. Yeah, it's insane because like, dude, like, cause I'm back to like working in like a lot of places I was working before the pandemic, and I feel like, well, now that things have opened, like it's weird. Like I feel like I've transported back into 2019.
Yeah.
It's just, do you feel that at all? Like, do you feel like you're back to maybe like yourself 2 years ago? Or you feel no?
No, I feel like
I feel that a little. It's weird. It's like deja vu in certain instances, and it's fucking wild.
6 years older than I was
Really?
in 2020. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel that a little way too. Like I don't know why too. Like when I haven't gotten as much good sleep since the pandemic hit, I wake up with a stiff neck sometimes. I don't even know why I'm
Mm.
sharing it, but it's like,
Mhm.
and that's made me also feel older some days, and some days I'm like, oh, dude, I feel like it's like it's back to 2019. It's mad weird. I don't know why, but random as fuck. But moving on from that, so we talked about influences. So
Mhm.
in terms of, okay, so as a fan, you mentioned, oh, even Muse. Okay, Muse and then Des Rocks. So when you write songs also on your own, let's say you also do work on solo stuff, you have some stuff in the works as well.
Mhm.
Your creative process, walk us through your creative process. When you're sitting down to create or when you're getting in the zone, what do you do first and why?
I really just once an idea comes to me, like if I'm on the go, I ton of notes on iPhone.
Yeah.
So if I like hear a chord progression or something, I'll just jot it down quick. I even have like a metronome app, so I'll just get the BPM, something, write that down, and then as soon as I can record, I mean, it depends. Sometimes it's bass line first, then keys,
Yeah.
and I'll just record and I'll just put it all in, and I figure I can always splice it up after the fact. Or like producers I work with, I can always just okay, let me know what you think of this. If you like it, cool. If not, you don't have to use it.
Are you a voice memo guy too?
A little bit. I did voice memos more before I was on Logic Pro and before I had a Scarlett Focusrite interface, but now I just try to record right away.
Yeah.
And I was trying to get in the habit of just trying to write something every day, or not at least write something new, but like try to tweak something from the day before. Actually, a song that just dropped. There's Chris Valentine, who's awesome. One of the songs on his album, Wave High, I pretty much came out with the beat on my own. And I had a session. I was like, oh, I don't know what you guys think of it, and they rushed to mix it down. Now it's on the album, which is
That's
awesome.
sick.
Yeah,
That's the beauty of realizing with music and producing. Like sometimes the best things happen the quickest, and it just happens in a whirl. It's like, and the best shit may come from that. It's like it's fucking the spontaneity, you
yeah.
know.
I think that whole idea was maybe like an hour 20, and I really didn't know like how much they'd like it, and then it all worked out. And I think that's important too when you're creating is sometimes when you sit with stuff too long, you're gonna play a lot of mind games. Like sometimes it's better to just let somebody else hear it. Because if you sit with it too long, you're just gonna keep tweaking it, and then it's not gonna be what you originally had.
I agree that I fucked myself over so much with that because I have like so much music I wanted to get out, but then because I'm trying to do it on my own at the time, and also because like the pandemic, I was just at home a lot and you couldn't really do much. Like I would listen to stuff so much to try and write, like, oh, you can make a better melody, you could do better. Like, come on, get a better vocal take. You fuck yourself so hard over me at least, and like then you freak yourself out. Like you can't, instead of like stuff like that. Like I've heard a lot of like pop like songs that became like hits or whatever, even just like great songs they were some of them were made so quickly, and it's like because people were just in a room, they captured it real quick, and then they moved on, I guess. But like I realized that like some songs were made so quick, and I personally have like sat on shit for weeks or months, and it's like, what the fuck? You've only like made it worse for yourself. Just like let it go, man. Just guillotine it.
Yeah, yeah. I
Have
mean,
you felt that way too at all?
yeah, yeah, definitely. But now I just kind of just try to write it and then tweak it after the fact.
Yeah.
Because really the only thing I haven't like figured out is programming drums on Logic.
Yeah.
So I'll do everything else and then just see what plays out and see how people like it.
So have you ever experienced writer's block?
Yeah,
How
I
would you
think.
get over it? Like what would you
mm,
recommend like steps? Like how do you get yourself back into a new vibrant creative space where you're coming up with new ideas and it just feels exciting?
um, I mean, I'm lucky that I always have friends sending me different music because I'm always sending friends albums or playlists and it's not like it'd be people I'm in bands with or just friends. Um, so I found the best thing when you have writer's blocks, like go for a walk or take a break or like watch a show on Netflix or something. And
Yeah, going
then
for the walk, that's been a huge help too. Just like going outside and like seeing random shit. That could
yeah,
always spark something up.
yeah, or catching a show or like someone may play a song that is like similar to what you were thinking about. You're like, okay, I think I got something and just
Yeah.
work with it.
No, for sure. So you've been talking about producing in Logic. So
Mhm.
I've used Logic too. And I like I've used Pro Tools and Logic like I've fallen in love with more. I feel like it's
Mhm.
just I like the way it looks and like it's because I also started in GarageBand. So how do you feel about the drummer in Logic, software drums, and even like implementing samples like Splice? How do you feel about all that software? Do you like it? Do you hate it? Do you feel it helps your process?
So, two of the producers I work with now, Joe Wabi and Mike Cash, they use Splice a lot. I know Wabi uses Logic. I think Mike Cash is more of an Ableton guy.
Mhm.
But I've seen like a song that'll we kind of have skeleton and adding in the splice and whatnot, like little samples will help. I don't think they
Yeah,
really use Logic as much in terms of drums. I think it's mostly splice.
gotcha.
Another guy, I almost forgot. Like I did a mixtape completely in quarantine with a beat tape. It fits the description that just dropped. I want to say a month ago.
Mhm.
Um, we were just emailing beats pretty much. I know he uses Splice, and I think whatever anyone's tool is nowadays, it's cool as long as like someone's actually playing something. I don't really care. Like, doesn't really
Yeah.
bother me.
No, I've used Splice a lot too, and it's helped me so much, and I love the accessibility of it. When I was
Mhm.
younger too, I used to think, oh, like you're cheating if you use like the drummer or software shit or like even samples, and I'm like, because I would like read a bunch of stuff online, I would purposefully go digging, trying to psych myself out. It's like, why? Who cares? Like whatever helps, helps. Whatever like makes you feel happy about what you're creating, like you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
It's
and I think like what's pretty crazy nowadays is you can be using fake drums and no one will really be any the wiser. Like
yeah.
the technology is getting really, really good.
Yeah, no, I agree. So, what would you say are your top 5 albums of all time? What albums have really stuck with you, like, they made that lasting impact?
It's hard.
We're going down deep.
Yeah, really down the rabbit hole. I would have to put "To Pimp a Butterfly," Kendrick Lamar up there. That was just a crazy album. Off the Wall, Michael Jackson. Songs in the Key of Life, Stevie Wonder. Would have to be the top one. I mean, it's just perfect. Um, Prince, Purple Rain. You know, he's just such a big influence on me. And
Yeah.
when he died, I had a lot of friends text me asking if I was okay, and I said no, I'm not.
Yeah.
Another album. Trying to think. We already got Off the Wall, Pimp Butterfly. Oh, I would have to put Late Registration.
All by Kanye?
Yeah, I really like Kanye's early stuff. I'm not really a fan of him now, but his early stuff was kind of my gateway into hip hop. Because
Yeah.
as a kid, like I did Eminem, but around middle school, I started hearing about Kanye and listened to him, and I don't know, he was just he's actually the reason I got into Otis Redding. Because before even Otis, he has that song "Gone" off Late Registration, and I
Mhm.
thought it was Ray Charles, and then I looked up the sample. It was actually Otis Redding, and then I went on a tear and listened to a bunch of
Oh,
Otis
wow, I
Redding
didn't even
stuff.
know that. Yeah, this samples he used and the way he's flipped some of them,
So
it is
good,
insane.
so
Like,
good.
especially what he was doing back then with the sampling machines.
Yeah, yeah, MPC, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's where I first even learned about the Akai and, like, even just it's insane.
Mhm.
But so for top 5 albums we talked about, so
Mhm.
let's talk about more the bands you play with. So what would you say in your whole career so far, what has been the most memorable show you've played?
Uh, that is really difficult. Um, I guess I would have to go because the whole reason we started Pastel was me and the singer Nick, and it was just on a whim. Like there was a contest to do Beatles covers, and we only had like a week to put together covers, and me and him had never worked together musically. So it was the first time we did, even before Pastel was a thing. I think that we called the band 8 days a week.
Oh, nice,
So
nice.
that show I think has to be pretty memorable to me when we played Beatles Blast Silver Lake. 'Cause that was the first time me and him worked together musically, and I've never found anybody that worked better with musically, really, in terms of writing.
When did you guys how long ago did you start that band?
Uh 2013,
Oh,
2014.
wow.
And we've been through it all. We had a singer move to Korea, drummer moved to Philly, went through two other drummers. So we've been through a lot, but still doing it. We've been working on stuff, just recording a
Yeah,
bunch.
so do you have anything with that band, the songs or EP, anything coming out maybe the next 6 months? You working on it?
I don't even want to give a timeline on it because the album we have on streaming, um, so basically we did what every band should never do. We booked the album release show before the album was actually finished. That was just as much fun as it sounds. And the month before the album was
Keeps it exciting.
yeah, that's one word. A month before the album dropped, we all got sick except for the guitarist.
Oh, shit.
So after that, we just made it a pact. Like, we're not going to do anything or put a date on anything until everything is 100% done.
No, that's cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So, what would you even say? So, talked about your most memorable show. So,
Mhm.
when you're writing lyrics or melodies, do you feel that you like lyrics? You focus on lyrics first or your melodies first?
So I actually never write lyrics, which
Never
is a
write
funny
lyrics.
thing. No, my biggest problem is I never know lyrics to songs. So I'll like send somebody a beat and I'll be like, yo, it's like, this is a really cool song, right? And I'll
Yeah,
have literally no idea what they're saying.
yeah.
And then I look up the lyrics. I'm like, oh, why didn't they like that song? I look up the lyrics. I'm like, oh, maybe that's why.
I guess like yeah, the melody sometimes just really sticks more.
Yeah, I mean, what I like doing now, I don't know if I come up with a little melody line on keys, like stuff like that. But I don't think I ever really think lyrically. A friend asked me recently. He said, "Are there artists that you could, without blinking an eye, like just rattle off their lyrics if you heard a song and know it start to finish?" And I said, maybe for Frank Ocean and The Weeknd, and that's about
Mhm.
it. So I just never listen for the lyrics. I can play the parts, tell you what they are, but I never listen to the words.
Yeah. So, in terms of playing live or when you're creating slash in the studio, do you love playing shows more or do you love producing and being in the studio and writing?
So the studio's growing on me, but I still like performing is just where I get to be a maniac and do whatever on stage. And
Yeah.
I just love meeting new people like from wherever. It's really cool. Like Jazztronauts, we played in Massachusetts in July, and I went to college in New England, so it was the first time I played music in New England really since I graduated college 6 years ago.
Mhm.
It was just so cool. You meet people
Yeah.
from New Hampshire, or like I have one friend from college that I've only literally hit up twice since I graduated, and it was to say, "Hey, I'm playing in the area," and he came through both times. This time he came just by himself.
That's like when you reconnect with people like that, yeah.
Yeah, I think performing is just more of a I think it's more of an extrovert thing because
Mhm.
I'm definitely more of an extrovert. I think recording is way more of an introvert thing. That being
Yeah.
said, though, recording is growing on me because now I'm realizing like, okay, that thing doesn't have to be perfect. Like I just
Yeah.
got to mark down the idea and work from there. You know?
Yeah, I think, like, sometimes when I'm writing too, like, I like to think of, like, get the reps out. Like, it doesn't have to be perfect now, but you're trying to, like, work it like a muscle, and then eventually, like, you'll set yourself up with the practice, like, you'll just get a certain moment down, and it'll feel great, and you don't have to overthink it. It's like, "Fuck it, I got it down."
Yeah.
You
Or
know?
someone can tweak it. Like I'm very like I don't know. There's some stuff that like I know exactly what I want it to be when I'm
Mhm.
playing it, but other stuff I'm like, all right, if that part works, cool. If not, just scrap it. Like I'd
Yeah, move
rather,
on.
yeah, I'd rather just build a ton, even when I'm recording. I'll just layers of tracks and then just see what sticks.
So you said your college you went to in Massachusetts, right?
Rhode Island, yeah,
Rhode
Providence
Island, got
College,
it.
yeah,
Yes, and you were up there 4 years, so you definitely dormed away.
yeah.
I went to, like, upstate I went to SUNY, like, Oneonta, so that was, like, 3.5
Mm,
hours away. But
hmm.
would you say that once you went away to school and once you came back, you lived here in New York before, you went to school away, would you say that that time being away from the city made you fall back in love with the city once you moved back? Or did it make you realize that maybe I wanna explore more and maybe get out of New York City?
Well, so post graduation, I really didn't want to be here because I had all these connections playing up there. Like I was gigging in Rhode Island and Massachusetts pretty much junior year on.
Mhm.
And, basically I knew if I stayed there, I could rattle off at least 3 bands I'd be playing with
Yeah.
as a done deal. So when I came back, I was kind of like, all right, let's see how long this lasts that I'm here.
Yeah.
I wanted to be in New England. I applied to a bunch of jobs and didn't get an interview or anything. And I was like, all right, I guess I got to start back up. So at
Yeah.
that time, I was big on going to Cargo, Nuremberger. Just trying to meet like other like minded artists, going to open mics and stuff.
Mhm.
And it took a while. I will say this: I think Staten Island gets a bad rep for cultivating culture, but like I think the last couple of years there's been a lot of cool events, like at
Yeah.
Club 17
Yeah,
that
for sure.
I wouldn't have thought of 6 years ago. I think it's more of a you gotta like seek out like the people that you want to find aren't gonna be there right away. You gotta kind of like find them and
Yeah.
find your group. Cause now I'll go to shows with friends and they'll be so pissed at me. They're like, "How do you know 40 people?" I'm like, "I've just been gigging for 6 years."
Yeah, and going to those events too helps. Yeah, there's a lot of great events on the island. Like, yeah, and if you find them, like, then it'll keep snowballing. You'll find more, and it's
Yeah,
so sick when you meet people and then it blossoms from there. Like, you never know what might happen
yeah,
after that.
yeah,
There is great stuff going on.
yeah. And I mean, even now, like, I'll met somebody like I met Mike Loco a couple years ago, and he had told me, he said, "Look, one day." I'll repay a favor. And he's like, I'm not going to tell you when the favor is going to be done, but it's going to happen. So it was the weekend right before school ended. So I was playing Uncorked at Richmond Town, about to set up for a gig. He hit me up and he said, Hey, remember that favor? He said, one of the rappers under my entertainment company wants your band, like wants a live band for a show. I hit her up and then she hit me up and then I had a gig like Wednesday. I was like, okay. So I
That's
kind of
sick.
had to scramble. Like I have like a list of who I can hit up
Yeah,
for stuff like that. But we made it work and it was great.
yeah. So let's dive into the Jazztronauts and like this music that came out this year. So
Mhm.
Long Way Back came out early in the year, right? And then Club Shallon, most
Yeah.
recent EP. So
Yeah.
let's talk about that process. Like, what was writing and even recording that like?
So I have a special bond with the Jazztronauts guys because we were gigging like even last summer when no one else was. So, really the only people I was seeing for a while was just my family, whoever I saw at work. Oh, that was even before I was back to work when we were gigging. So it was literally just my family and the Jazztronauts. So long way back, we did, I want to say July 2020. Oh no, this was earlier than that. I think it was 20. I'm losing track of time.
It's all good.
So we did that one. It was me, Jay Glaze on trumpet, AJ Panaleo on drums, and Pat Nowak on guitar. So a long way back, I came up with a chord. So when we record, we don't have a script at all,
You
and
were
we
telling me
just
that's amazing. Yeah.
yeah, it's more like we just throw possibilities at the wall, hope for the best, mix it down, and that's it.
Yeah.
Club Shaolin, AJ was saying, "Hey, I want to make a disco record, and I love disco." So I was like, "I'm down." That one, we finally got more people. The other records we did just at his like little practice room in Phoenix. They said, "No, like let's go to Red Room Studios," and we got more people. We had Jesse Bloom on keys, who's amazing. Glaze was on trumpet, Sean on trombone, Dave is on guitar. So that was the first time we had Dave on a record with us, who's also great. I was on bass.
You
And
guys
we
just do
recorded.
and Red Rooms are on Van Duzer, right?
Yeah, right.
Shadow Van Duzer Street.
Yeah, right across from the coop.
Oh,
Yeah.
so you guys just go in there. It's all improv, one take. So even the preparation for that, like before, are you guys practicing a lot leading up to, let's say, recording on a Friday? Are you guys hitting the rehearsal studio like every day? Or are you guys like doing a lot of pre-production? You're just like, let's go see what happens.
No, I mean we'll jam every now and then, but
Mhm.
we like never practice.
That's amazing, and that sounds so
Yeah.
liberating too, because like the tracks sound fucking tight. They sound-
Thanks, man.
That's awesome.
Yeah, no, it becomes like someone has an idea, talk about maybe like a minute, maybe we do 2 takes and move on, and then just from there see what we have and mix it down.
Even when you're telling me about musical influences, like I was
Mhm.
expecting all the ones you made. Like it's not even necessarily a lot of like rock acts per se, like from that era, but it's cool.
Nah.
Like you went from like kind of funk and R&B even. Like that's so awesome. Have your
Yeah.
parents a lot of the music are your biggest influences, the top 5 you mentioned, and even what you listen to in general. Has your family or parents influenced your musical palette, or you just discovered it all on your own?
Well, a lot of the R&B stuff is my mom because she's a big Whitney Houston fan, Boys to Men, and we just kind of have an unsaid agreement that whenever Boys to Men is in town, we go together. We
It's
went,
awesome.
yeah, we went last time. They played with En Vogue, which was great. They're playing in November, so we're going again. Yeah, she got me into a lot of R&B. She also is big on Broadway, which when I was younger, I liked show tunes, and now I'm
Yeah.
kind of done with them. My dad's more of a classic rock guy. He actually listens more to lyrics of songs. So my dad has no musical talent at all. He's completely tone deaf. And then my mom is like where I got it from. She plays guitar,
Yeah.
sings.
And they're both musical lovers, so they love listening to music.
Yeah, they love coming to see Jazztronauts, Pastel. And they kind of got to a point where like I'm gigging and they won't tell me. They'll just like show up at the gig. I'm like, all right,
That's
that's
cool. So
cool.
there's no pressure, but also like they show the
No.
support. That's so sick. That's
And it's
awesome,
also
though.
funny. Like they'll be like, oh,
It's
send me.
wholesome.
Yeah, they'll be like, oh, send me the dates. I'm like, you guys both follow me on Instagram, and I always post when I'm playing. Like, I don't need to
They're
tell you
throwing
when I'm
shade. They're
playing.
like, we don't look at your post that much.
Yeah, I know. I guess not.
You guys send the dates. No, but that's so. So your mom is an instrumentalist. She plays guitar and piano. You said.
She plays guitar, sings. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, that like the first music I ever listened to, because my parents were huge into classic rock. That was like mostly what they listened to. Now is like my first introduction to music in general. A lot of the classic rock acts. So that's all I knew. I guess for
Mhm.
the first few years of like childhood or adolescence, whatever that is when you're becoming cognizant. So
Yeah.
yeah, like no, but that's so your mom was into a lot of the R&B records. That's so sick.
Yeah, yeah. No, she's all over the place, and she has a lot of friends who are, in the entertainment field. Like one of her good friends from college has visited, who's Bon Jovi's vocal coach and works with a bunch of people.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so she's like really artsy. She went to Vassar. Yeah. My dad, he's not into it as much, but he's a big sports guy, so he
Mhm.
understands like why I'm into it, and
Yeah.
he'll ask me stuff about band. One day I caught him, it was funny. He was like shaving and he had one of my songs like playing in the background. I was like, okay, this is a little weird, but thanks, I guess.
He's showing the support throughout the daily activities. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's on the go. He's showing the support. Gotta
Yeah.
respect it.
Oh yeah. It was just funny. I was
Mr.
half
Sullivan has
asleep.
places to go. He's got places to go. The week gets packed really quick.
Yeah.
What was the first concert you ever went to?
Oh man. I think that was In Sync in 3rd grade.
No doubt.
Yeah.
What was that show like? That was probably like that was like the peak of like the mania, right?
Yeah, it was great. I think Diddy and Bad Boys for like the opening act because they did the
fucking
Bad Boys for
wow,
Life.
dude.
Yeah. I don't really remember much of it. And I was terrified that the sounds are going to be too loud. So what's really weird with me is I make music, go to live shows, but my hearing is like super sensitive. My hearing's good, but
That's good though if you're monitoring. I've noticed the last couple of years, like I try and bring earplugs whenever because I'm like, I don't know, like I don't want to fuck it up either because I'm like, dude, like shit is so loud. We would like, no, yeah.
Yeah, actually, that reminds me. I have to order earplugs. Thanks for that reminder. I had one. I don't know where I put them. And
Yeah, I got some eargasms recently. They're not bad. They're pretty cool. Shout out
yeah,
eargasms. Gotta love the fucking name, dude.
yeah, they'd be like, "What are they talking about on the podcast?"
We're talking about friggin' I almost went blank. Earplugs.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I mean, I started wearing earplugs like to gigs and shows that I was going to, but I lost them, so I got to order a new pair.
Yeah, I've lost like 3 too. So it's all good. But listen, little it comes back to Amazon Rewards, whatever it's called. So your first concert was In Sync. That's sick. You saw them where, Manhattan?
No, they did Meadowlands.
Oh wow. Yeah. Shout out, Continental Airlines Arena.
Oh yeah, that's what it was called, right? Yeah, what's funny is I really didn't start going to concerts until like high school, and now I'm just very like, if I want to go to a show, I'm just gonna buy a ticket and someone can go with me or not. Like there's this R&B guy, Dijon, who I love, and I'm obsessed with him. It's bad.
Yeah.
And I really wanted to see him, but the New York City date, I was in grad school at the time, so I couldn't go. So I just took the Amtrak to Philly that Saturday, went to the show by myself. One of my friends lives in Philly, so I crashed with him. I even put it out to him. I was like, hey, I'm seeing Dijon. He looked at his music. He's like, I don't want to see that. I'll see you after.
Like, I'm good.
Yeah, like I'll go to shows by
out,
myself all the time. Like if I want to catch someone's set, I'll just do it.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, like, why not, right? You got to catch a show. Like, you want to see him?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So if you pick one, if there was one city as of now where you haven't played yet, it could be any country, any continent. What is one city you want to play so bad? You could pick anywhere in the world.
Man, I think I have to go with New Orleans because I've never been, and everyone who's gone was like, "Neil, you need to go." And
especially during Mardi Gras.
Yeah, well, we were gonna play there at Pastel. It was actually Katie Ballou, who was in Pussy Wolf, was gonna have us on a show, which is great. She's an awesome guitarist and singer. I know Jazztronauts, they've been talking about doing more touring stuff. So if the opportunity arose to play in New Orleans, that would be awesome.
I've always just wanted to go to Europe badly, but I feel like London would be like an amazing. I just want to play in London, go to London so badly. I feel like it's just like it'd be a cool like launch pad, like it's like New York, and then from there you could go wherever. I've just always wanted to go to London. I don't know why. Other parts in Europe too. It'd be sick to just like take a trip like that.
I mean, the R&B right now in UK is off the chain. Like it's so good, and they all like know each other. Like Tom Misch, and Jordan Rackeye, Georgia Smith. Yusuf Day, I think is a drummer. Like they all literally make music together 24/7.
Yeah.
I actually at Music Hall saw Jordan Rackeye with Sam Wills. I think he's from New Zealand. Sam Wills. Sam Wills was the opener. It was way better than Jordan Rackeye live.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Jordan Rackeye was good, but he wasn't like he was just singing. Like, there was no energy. And Sam Wills, he came out and I was like, "Who is this guy?" It was great.
So, and especially because you've been in a bunch of groups, you're in 2 bands right now. Would you say that it's relatable or factual when people say that being in an ensemble or a band, it is like being in a marriage? Would you say that that is true or false?
I would say absolutely. And I would go even further. I would say it's a family, and then bass and drums are the marriage. Because like if the bass and drums aren't locked in, I tell my students all the time, I'm like, don't show up.
Yeah, no, the rhythm. So what do you teach?
So I teach band now at Petrides, which is where I went to school. So
full circle, that's cool.
It's great. I'm just doing 5th through high school band, and then like 3rd and 4th general music. So it's awesome.
So even when have you ever came to a point when you're in the band, like we talked about how it's like a marriage, like even when you sometimes bicker, like how do you get through those roadblocks at the end of the day?
I think really the key, I mean, Pastel, we really never had any arguments, which is people always look at us weird. And same thing with Jazztronauts. I think the key is just knowing everyone in your group and then just knowing how to communicate with people. Like if you know someone's defensive, know a way that you can communicate your point without unintentionally setting off the person, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
And I think like more important than anything too is just keeping in mind the vision. And sometimes like, okay, if you have the vision, and your guitarist isn't matching it, then maybe that guy shouldn't be in the band. Like, you
Yeah.
know, and it's nothing personal. Like
It's sometimes just compromises or discussions, you
anyone
know?
who was in any band I play with that's not anymore, like I don't hate them and we're friends, you know?
No,
So I
yeah,
think
yeah,
that's
yeah.
important.
No, for sure, and that's a great point you put, and it's so cool that you're teaching now, especially at the place you taught, and it comes full circle. Has your students inspired your songwriting process at all? Have they, like, made ideas pop?
Not yet. I mean, I haven't had them long, and it's been a weird transition because you got to figure. I haven't had a band class since March of 2020. Neither have they.
Yeah.
So kids are, a year older, but academically, they were at a certain grade when they were actually in school all the time, and then you don't know if they were remote.
Yeah.
So really, right now, it's just getting them in shape. But even I noticed like even the other group was a little more rusty. They're starting to come together, so it's good. I don't know that they inspired songwriting yet. I mean, I'm adjusting back to the grind because the summer I don't do any work at all.
No, yeah, and listen, because you when you guys are teaching, you have summers off, right?
Yeah, and
That's amazing, yeah.
yeah, and the thing is too, I worked summers probably I want to say a good 6 or 7 years before I
Yeah.
got hired full time. And I've
Yeah.
run into people who are like, "Hey, are you working for the summer?" I say, "Absolutely not."
Yeah, you don't if you
Like,
don't
I still
have to,
get
fuck
paid. I'm
it.
like, why do I need
Yeah,
to?
if you don't have to, why not?
And
Like,
the
fuck that.
summer was just like recording sessions, gigging, lessons, and that was about it. It was
Yeah.
just awesome.
So what are your biggest aspirations as musician?
I mean, play a festival and see what happens. Like getting signed. Jazztronauts, we actually just got signed to an imprint of High Tide Records. So shout out to New Tone Records. They picked us up, which is great, and it's a
Yeah.
really cool deal. It's next year they're gonna put a lot of our old releases. I'm on 3 of those releases, I believe, on CD and vinyl in
Oh,
stores
nice.
spring
We're
2022.
doing some
Yeah.
cassettes too, or the CD and vinyl right now?
I'm not sure. I'll let you
Merch
know.
bundles, maybe?
I'm sure they got that all worked out.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it's really cool that like we got signed and we met the people at the label. They came to catch our set at Adobe and they were super cool. It's
Oh,
just a
Adobe Blues
husband
on
and wife.
Forest?
No, on Lafayette.
Oh, it's from Manhattan.
No. Staten
Oh, my
Island.
bad, fucked that up, but yeah, I got the streets mixed up. Because I was working in, like, Soho not too long ago. I was, like, just passing Lafayette by West Houston, so I got my shit all messed up.
All good.
But no, that's sick. So that's amazing, you guys got signed recently?
Yeah, it was maybe like 2 months ago. And they just they try to get us in different spots. Like we might be doing
Yeah.
Pittsburgh soon, which is cool.
No,
So
for sure.
see what
So
plays out.
so especially when you're in an ensemble like that and you have to focus on promoting and marketing, in terms of social media usage with bandmates, like, how do you guys m market on social media? Like, do you guys all have meetings with that? Do you not focus on that as much? Or, like, how do you guys, let's say, split up or delegate the different, let's say, business parts of the band?
That band is really AJ does a lot of social media. So, he'll send us flyers and promo for when shows are coming up, but
Mhm.
I'm not really like in the day to day with that band, and I'm totally fine with that. It's nice to be in a band like I can just focus on the music. Jay Glaze was big on the social media as well. He's been in Florida, but he comes back every now and then. We did some studio stuff. I don't know when we'll release it, but there will be some Jazztronauts stuff from a session that he was on. I think he's actually in town this week.
Yeah.
Just cool.
No, that's sick. So, do you see yourself staying in New York, especially as a musician? Like, do you want to stay here for years to come, keep the bands and even your career here for now local? Or do you see yourself maybe wanting to, like, check out the different musical cities or hubs? Like, do you see yourself being in LA or Nashville?
LA, I've heard a lot of not so great things about it. Like culturally, it just seems like kind of a fake spot. Nashville, I have heard good things. I'm not a big country guy, so I don't know how well that would go.
No.
I mean, I think I don't know. I'm under more of the mindset of wherever you are, doesn't define what you're gonna do. It's just all about up here, and I think that especially like came to fruition for me with quarantine because like before quarantine, I never recorded at home at all because I really didn't like recording. And once that happened, I was like, well, I still got to make music, so I got to figure it out. Got
Yeah.
Logic Pro. got Scarlett Focusrite interface. So I'm fine with New York as long as whatever I'm doing, I feel like I'm really pushing myself musically. And both projects do that. And both projects too, what I think is also key is neither project like is like, oh, like what are you doing playing with those other guys? Like AJ caught Pastel set, which is really cool. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, we're not on the same project. AJ has a separate thing with Dave Drip that just started. They're kind of like Black Sabbath, instrumental stoner rock. I wanted to catch her set. I wasn't able to, but I know the next time I can, I will. So
Yeah.
I think the key too is whatever projects you're in, not feeling like you can't do anything else. You know, like you want to do other work. The people in the project should respect that you want to keep your chops vibrant musically
Yeah,
and
for
just work
sure.
from there, you know?
And that's cool. You guys are so open and like you're accepting about it, of course. Because like I've heard some bands and even like sometimes like it's led to the implosion of the group because they've always just tried or one or two members you try to focus so hard on that one group and then sometimes people just get burnt out. But like that's great. You guys are so open to that because playing with other people that can inspire new ideas and like it keeps shit fresh. And that's just that sounds so exciting. That's cool. That's
Yeah.
really cool.
Yeah, no, they're great. I mean, I was doing cover stuff for a minute and I'm finally taking a backseat on it. I'm just like, I'm not really doing any covers gigs unless it's like the week of and they need to fill in.
Yeah.
Cause I just felt like that scene wasn't me and it was just taking up way too much of my free time.
Yeah.
I think in that scene was more where I saw a little bit more like cutthroat, like, oh, you got to do this gig or whatever. And I'm like, okay, I'm playing the same 20 songs that I played for
I
6
thought
years.
about covers, so I thought it'd be cool. Just it could be like, because I want to get back into performing eventually. It's been like years, and like you feel those kind of jitters, like it's been so long. I went
Mhm.
to a couple open mics recently just to attend to try and like get back into that space.
Mm.
But I've thought about just trying covers just for the hell of it. Like, how did you feel about it? What covers did you play?
Oh, so I mean, I should be clear. I still do some covers like at the table.
Yeah,
That's a great open mic run
yeah.
by
Shout out
Donnie.
Table. First time I went was actually this Sunday. Like, yeah, I just want to check it out. It was cool. Yeah.
They're great. And there I do different covers, like which is me and bass and singing, just to work on my confidence singing because I really Pastel and background vocals. We haven't been gigging as much, so my singing chops are a little leave more to be
Nah, it's all
desired.
good. Do you want to be a front man in a group as well? You see that in the future? Do you want to try that out? Just straight
No,
front man, the lead vocalist?
no, I would really have to like study. I would really have to work on my shit to do that. Like I don't mind doing it every now and then, or like I don't mind singing the hook of a song, but I really don't have any interest like from it. I like having some type of instrument with me. It's gonna be a while before I'm really comfortable with just the microphone.
No, it's all good. So what instrument do you want to take up next? Is there anyone that you really want to dive into?
I'm really all good. I mean, I have been messing with guitar, but not even looking at chords or anything. It's just more like single note parts that'll fit a
Mhm.
groove or a song or and stuff like that. Yeah, I'm pretty good on instruments. Even to become a music teacher, I had to learn a little bit of everything. So I know a little bit of clarinet and sax and
Yeah.
all that. So I don't really think I need any other instruments.
No, nice. That's cool. Last but not least, where do you see yourself going creatively in the next like 6 to 12 months? What's on the agenda? What in terms of projects do you have on in the works? What's upcoming for you?
There's just gonna be a ton. I mean, there's already gonna be a ton of random session stuff that's gonna fly in, like hip hop. I haven't really dove into doing rock session stuff. I know Jazztronauts will put out more stuff because we have that other session we haven't dropped anything from. I know Pastel will be dropping singles. Other than that, I mean, now I'm just getting hit up a lot just to do random stuff musically, and whatever drops is whenever it drops. I'm kind of losing track of what I'm on right now.
No, it's awesome. So you said you're also like a beat maker, hip hop beat maker?
Yeah, so right now I've been working with Tyrone Briggs, Chris Valentine, Joe Wabi, Mike Cash, Bob Lee is another producer Tyrone uses. And, you go into a session, bring some ideas, lay it down, and see if it ends up in a song. So I've been doing that too.
Yeah, like real quick, walk us through like the difference between like when you're cooking up from that perspective as a beat maker compared to just being in a band rehearsing live. When you're starting up cooking up a beat or a production, where do you start? What do you have in mind first?
I think it's important to like at least know what your reference track is, like what song you were thinking of with that idea, if it's possible.
Mhm.
And it could be as simple as like a key part somehow reminds you of something else. So like I'll listen to that song, get the BPM in my head of what I want to do, chord progression, and just kind of work from there.
So do you think about the BPM or the chord progression first? You thinking, or do you go with like you want to get like let's say the 808, like the snare, like you want to get the actual percussion down first?
No, I definitely think the chord progression BPM because I'm not really a drum programmer. Like any session I do, I'll have keys, parts, bass, maybe a rhythm guitar thing,
Yeah.
and then I just bring it to him. Like, all right, let's see what happens, and we add drums and everything.
Are you feeling after diving into like when now you've been how long have you been doing like the lo-fi hip hop, the beat making production? How long have you been into that?
It's only really been about a year, and I have to say, I think like Jazztronauts helped my writing a lot because we don't have any recorded songs aren't like written melodies that we did. It was just on the fly.
Yeah.
So I think that project just always helps the creative juices going because I'm gigging with those guys a ton, and we're always making up music for 2 or 3 hours a
Yeah.
week practically. So
Do you think that you're liking that production more like being a beat maker, or do you still love do you like the live more? Do you love that?
I still like the live more, but the beat making is growing on me,
Yeah.
and I like that. Like I'm technically in a rock band and jazz funk band, but I'll just make stuff that if you looked at who I play with or who I'm friends with, you'd be like, "What is this?"
No,
Like,
but
it's
that's
not what I
awesome. That
expected. Yeah,
results in like new compositions, like all different genres. It just inspires and flows into everything else it can. Like, why not, right?
yeah. Like people like Tyler the Creator or the Internet. I just really like having stuff that sonically is just so out there.
Yeah.
And it's like it's cool to write that really catchy song, but I also like just seeing what happens and
Yeah.
exploring sounds and soundscapes and things like that.
So I see you're playing tomorrow at Kilmeyer's with the Jazztronauts. So if someone has never been to a Jazztronaut show, what would we expect? What can you let the secrets?
Um, it's hard to say because we really change what we do based on the venue.
Mhm.
And, obviously a different show, it's gonna be a different vibe, different crowd every time, which I think that project is really showing me. So you're just gonna hear a lot of random stuff. None of it is planned ahead of time. You're probably gonna want to dance, hopefully, if we do
No,
our
that's
job right.
awesome.
Yeah, and it's just like we're on the journey with you, I guess, because we don't know how it's gonna start or
So
end
no
either.
Celis is playing. You just
No, no set
that's
list at all.
awesome.
Yeah, no, we've never once gone into a gig and we're like, okay, let's do Triple Brood or let's do Out of the Night. We just
Yeah.
do whatever.
So you don't know if you're gonna be playing like Club Shaolin tracks yet? We don't know yet.
No, probably not,
And
honestly.
you guys usually play out like an hour usually.
No, we usually do like 2 to 3 hours.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, yeah, we keep it moving.
No, nice. That's awesome.
Yeah, depending on what the bar wants. We actually we did a cocktail hour recently in a wedding. That was sick.
Oh, really? Yeah, that must have been
It was
mad
really
fun. Yeah.
cool. Yeah.
Well, awesome. Well, Neil, thank you so much for coming on the show. It was a pleasure. Thank you for sitting down with me. And this has been another episode of Miltrick Media. We sat down with Niall Sullivan at Hub 17, Staten Island, New York. We talked about music, life, experiences, and everything in between. And that's been another episode. And we will see you guys soon.